Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to Muslim Teen Zine and everything in between with your host Ilya Qayyum. Today I'm joined with Sister Sana. Jazakallah khair so much for joining me today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I am too. But so do you mind giving a brief introduction for maybe those of the viewers who may not know you?
Yeah, for sure. So my name's Saleh. I am also known as Saleh Family, the wife in Saleh Family. I have been creating content for a year now. I am across TikTok and YouTube and Instagram with me and my husband, Will Saleh. We've got two little kids. We live here in Ontario, Canada,
Mhm.
and we create content for Muslims and non-Muslims alike. A lot of our content is very serious, and we throw in a lot of comedy while we're still educating people and throwing out misconceptions and stuff like that. So it's been a wild ride, and we started in February of last year, and we now have 1.5, I think almost 1.5 million followers.
Wow. I like see
Crazy.
I didn't know that it was so recent for you because I thought like you've probably been doing this for a long time because your growth, like I've been seeing it, it's been like crazy.
Yeah, it's only been a year.
Wow, that's so cool. But yeah, before we do usually get into the interviews, I like to do like rapid fire questions, like it's just icebreaker. I want to give
Yeah.
you a super simple question and then just give your most recent answer.
Okay, cool.
Okay, perfect. So favorite TV show.
This is us.
My dad really liked that show actually. Favorite recent purchase.
Favorite recent purchase? What did I buy recently? That's a really good question. I feel like I haven't like shut. I buy everything from Amazon. You know what? I bought some stuff for my kitchen. It was like a bread box and like coffee, tea, little boxes. You know, you're an
Ooh.
adult when you buy stuff like that, you get excited.
I've heard that a lot. Yeah. Favorite hobby.
Favorite hobby? I would say traveling.
Oh yeah. I'm probably just like sad that you can't like travel right now because of the
I know
pandemic.
it's
It's
been
just sad.
really.
Well, what was your first job?
My first job was at Dairy Queen. I
Oh.
was a customer service, making ice creams and blizzards and stuff like that when I was 15.
Fun. Who is your inspiration?
Oh wow. I would say my inspiration. Oh my gosh. That's so tough. I
Yeah.
feel like I take a lot of inspiration from my family. My mom especially. I think she's a really big role model for me.
Yeah. And something you don't understand.
Something I don't understand, math. I'm not a fan of math. I like my weakness. I
Yeah.
That's why I love calculators. I'm one of those people where I just like the easy way out. Yeah,
I
math is
mean,
not
yeah,
my
who doesn't? um, Texting or calling.
texting.
And then if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Ooh, to be invisible.
And
That would be
oh, that's cool. Yeah, just like sneak up on people. But
yeah.
yeah, those, those were all the rapid fire questions. So we're now gonna jump into the interview part. So we're just gonna talk about like your YouTube channel, your social media, and even Lalahijab. I know I'm pretty sure you're wearing the hijab from your brand too. So I'm super
Yeah.
excited. It looks very pretty, by the way. So yeah, we'll just jump right into that. So what social media did you start off with initially when you started posting content?
Mhm. So I've actually been using Instagram publicly for a few years now. I would say more that was more like a passion project. I do actually have a beauty business as well, and so I would just post tutorials and skincare stuff and advice and little things like that. But I didn't really take social media seriously until last year. So February of last year. It's been exactly a year since I've actually created specific content to like put it out there into the world and
Right. And did
have people.
yeah. Yeah, and did you like always have the type of content that you have right now? You said it was like comedy and also educating people about Islam. Did you always have that type of content from the beginning?
I would say yes. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Mhm.
pretty much since the beginning.
Yeah, and then the second question is, did you ever have like a viral moment, like of one video that just blew up, and like what platform was it on, or was it also just a slow and steady growth over time?
Yeah, it was a viral moment for sure. So we had joined TikTok, and I think it was like exactly 2 or 3 weeks into it, me and my
Wow.
husband did a video where we were coming out of different bedrooms and we were changing into different outfits. So I came out with like a Desi outfit, and he came up with a Canadian outfit, and then we were
Yeah.
just like, "What are you doing?" And then we went back in the rooms again and came out, and we would always be wearing the opposite clothes.
Right.
And then we couldn't agree on what we were wearing, so we just decided to stay at home. And so that video blew up overnight. I think it had
Wow.
1 million views within just a few hours, and that's actually what started our the ripple effect in terms of content creation. So yeah,
Wow.
that was our viral moment.
Were you like expecting that to happen? Like, or were you even trying to be viral?
No, not at all. No, not at all. We
Yeah.
were mostly making fun because we're mixed culture. I'm Pakistani, my husband's white, and so
Mhm.
like, we struggle with that all the time. Like, I want to wear this time, but no, I want to wear this outfit or whatever. So we just thought it would be funny to just show people that, and
Right.
people did. So
Yeah, and I think people are just generally interested to see like interracial couples and stuff like that, like how that dynamic works. And also TikToks, like I've heard like the algorithm is just like so different than other social media that it's like really it's a lot more, I think, easier, I don't know, quote unquote, for you to get viral or be out
yeah,
there.
yeah, absolutely, yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely, for sure.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you like started making videos with your husband, so I'm sure like you work with him. What is it like actually working with a significant other, and like how do you try to get over disagreements and work through all of that?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm super grateful, super happy that we get to do it together. I feel like we're complete opposites. Like when I say complete opposites, I really like it's like negative, positive, like super, like we're super um I don't know, I guess you could say positives attract because
Mhm.
or no, sorry, opposites attract because
Yeah.
for me, I'm like a super like techie, nerdy. Like I love social media. I love the planning aspect, the marketing,
Mhm.
all the web design, stuff like that. And my husband's like really hands-on. Like he creates all the designs for our hijabs. Like he does all of like the manpower, that kind of stuff, like the actual designing, manufacturing, that kind of stuff. So I think we work well together because I'm really good in one aspect and he's really good in the other. So combine us both, we're like the perfect team. So alhamdulillah, I feel like we really work well together because we're so different.
Yeah, because like, it's like you might not be good in one thing, you might have a weakness. I've heard that too. It's like if there's something that you're not good at, like have that person on the team that's good at what you're not good at. So it's like really helpful to have that.
Exactly. Because then he's never questioning me and being like, why'd you do this or why'd you do that? He just fully trusts what I do and I fully trust what he does. So it
Mhm.
works
Right.
well.
So like if there are any disagreements that come up, if there are like is there a way that you try to resolve them and try to be and what you've learned along the way, like working with him?
Yeah, I would say all we do is just like sit down and talk about it and discuss like what the problem is and how we can fix it. And then we make it a priority to fix it right away. Like we
Yeah.
don't like to leave it and just like not deal with it. So we'll deal with it as quickly as possible and then come to that kind of resolution and then move on.
Yeah. And what was something when you entered like the social media space and started having as your full-time job, like what's really surprised you?
Oh, I would say the growth, like being,
Mhm.
you know, creating videos and that kind of stuff. I would say like a majority of our audience, surprisingly, is in the States. I would say over 70% of our audience is actually in the States. But even locally, like if I go to the grocery store, things like that, like walking in IKEA, there's always people that are like, are you from the Saleh family?
Really?
Oh my God, like I did not expect that to happen. It's kind of embarrassing because it's like you want to go out like a grubby mess and like you can't, you know what I mean? Like 'cause people can recognize you. And even like wearing
Exactly.
people still recognize us. So
Wow.
that's something that completely took me off guard. I really did not think anyone would recognize us.
Mhm, and, like, I just based off reading off your comment section and just things like that, like, I've noticed so many non-Muslims. Did that also surprise you, like, having non-Muslims really engaging with your content?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I feel like a lot of our content is, it's a mixture because some of our content is gauged towards Muslims, and then some of our content is educating the non-Muslims. And
Right.
I was actually really surprised to find out that a majority of our audience is non-Muslim, and I think they stick around and they follow us because they enjoy learning without feeling like they're judged. Like they can always
Yeah,
ask questions or they can always be open and it's just like such a good positive environment and I think they just feel safe, so
right.
it's
Yeah,
yeah.
and you do it in such, like, a lighthearted way. It's not always, like, a serious, like, sit down in front of the camera, just talk. It's like you'll have maybe a skit, like, thrown into that, so I feel like that could also just, like, make it more fun to watch too and learn more.
Yeah, exactly,
Mhm.
absolutely.
And we're gonna, I guess, move on to Lalahijabs, which is your brand. So what made you, like, decide to start Lalahijab? Like, what was that process like?
Hmm. It was actually completely out of fluke. We had our very first lockdown, and that's what kind of when we started everything. We started TikTok, creating content,
Yeah.
and on TikTok, everybody was tie dyeing because everyone was bored at home. So people were tie dyeing their sweatshirts and their sweatpants. I was like, why is no one tie dyeing hijabs? Like, how cool would that be to have like a tie dye hijab? So I dyed one, And I started wearing it just on TikTok, just in our videos. And everybody was asking, where did you get that from? I
Yeah.
want a hijab just like that. So we sat down, we're like, could we do this as a business? Do you think we could come up with something like this? I don't have a business background, no fashion background, nothing like that. Same with my husband. He's an aircraft engineer. So we're
Oh, wow.
like, this is not our forte. And then we came up with kind of the business plan, and we launched it in August, and it's been mind blowing. Like this morning, we just had a launch of this hijab along with a whole other
I
collection.
saw that. Yeah.
It's gone in 20 minutes, and we're like, oh my god,
Really?
just it's been amazing. It's been such a blessing. So we've been really, really enjoying it.
Mhm.
It's been so much fun.
And do you plan on sticking with the tie-dye hijab? Because know when I saw your Instagram page, like, it caught my eye because I've never seen a tie-dye hijab, but I was like, wow, that's so like pretty. So it's like, do you think you're gonna stick with that along as long as your brand is around?
Yeah, I think so because thing is it's tie dye, but it doesn't look like it's tie dye. You know, like when you
Yeah,
think tie, you think like 70s, 60s rainbows and weird patterns. Like ours is very abstract, and I think it's super unique. And I
right.
think that's why it's so successful. Is because it's so different. It's a different version of tie dye. So I think for sure we'll always stick with it because I think we've made it a staple for
Yeah,
La Life.
for hijabs, exactly. And I think even just tie-dye too, like, I don't think it's gonna go away because it's been around since the 70s and 80s and it came back in the 2020. So it's like I feel like it'll be around for quite some time. So it's like a really cool thing. But were you kind of scared to stick with tie-dye? Maybe like feel like you were maybe risking that it was a trend and that it would go away soon?
Yeah, we were definitely worried about it. So we actually, by request of people, we started releasing some solids as well because people love the material that we use.
Right.
Like this is like the most lightweight, comfortable material I've ever used. I would love to have it in XYZ colors. So we've been bringing out some solids as well, but have continued the tie dye. But for sure, the tie dye is the number one thing. So we'll for
Mhm.
sure always be continuing it. And we're always experimenting all the time. So there's times where I'll just like go on my stories and I'm wearing a completely different color design, and then just to kind of gauge interest, and then it's always an
Yeah,
explosion of people DMing me like, "Where'd you? Is that a new design? I want it." So it's been really fun. Yeah, I
exactly.
think we're always going to continue.
Yeah, and like, how did you just figure it out? Because like you said, you had no business background. Like William didn't have any business background either. So it's like, did you have any resources that helped you figure out what to do and how to launch it out into the public?
I think by having our social media following, it was a huge advantage already.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful for that. And then, so I did actually have a beauty business that I was running for the last few years, but again, that was a very small scope of people,
Mhm.
kind of familiar with marketing and, the photography and, social media marketing and Instagram and just how to promote things. And still to this day, like we don't run ads. Like that's the crazy thing is all of the success
Really?
that we've had, there's no ads that we've used. Like
Wow.
experimented once maybe, and we just didn't end up doing it because the amount of organic reach that we have and the customers that we have organically, we can't keep up with them. So I can't imagine like throwing an ad out there and just showing people that haven't heard of us before and then what that would be like. So
Mhm.
where I'm really like self-taught in everything. Everything these days you can find online. You can do
Yeah,
courses, you can read resources, watch YouTube videos on how to set up a website. Like everything, the whole thing was done by me or Will. So it's
right.
uh, very much DIY. It's possible in today's day and age. Honestly, if this was 10 years ago, it would be a
Mhm.
way different story. But now in 2020 and 2021, like there's so many resources at our fingertips that there's really honestly no excuse for us to just like not run with an idea and just put it out there.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And it's like even with like platforms like Canva and like Wix and stuff, it's like you don't need to know how to code to design or code a website. Like you can just do it yourself and drag and drop.
Yes, exactly. It's so simple.
It really is. But before you do launch a product, you probably have to review a lot of samples and just see what you want. Like, how do you go through that process? And what is that like?
Yeah. So because I think this is a huge advantage for us, we do everything in house. All of the hijabs are dyed by me and my husband, and that
Really? Oh,
have any.
wow.
So I know it's really different for a lot of people because a lot of people have manufacturers elsewhere, and the time frame it takes to review samples and this and that is so long. For us, it's like we sit down one day and we're like, what color scheme should we do today? and then we'll pull out a piece of fabric and we'll grab a bunch of dyes, mix them up, and just do different designs. And then we just come up with that idea and we run with it. So I
Mhm.
think for us, the point of, designing something and then having it release, the time frame is so short because we're able to do everything in house.
Yeah, yeah, so true. And it's like, do you always find like you said that like you sold out literally in 20 minutes. How do you like recover from that and then try to release new products, especially when you're doing everything in house?
So hard. So we're still trying to play catch up because we had, as part of our Earth collection, we had a black hijab with kind of gold beige tones. It's called Sierra
Mhm.
release. I think it was in December. And this time around, I feel like we've kind of caught up. We created hundreds of them before this launch for today. And I still feel like we're playing catch up from then. So the stuff that we sold out today, we're going to be playing catch up for the next few months of people that have missed out on it. Because that's the thing, is it's like, I feel like because we do everything in house, it's so unique, it's handmade, it's hand dyed, all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, we can't do huge quantities because it's just us doing it. So we're only
Exactly.
limiting the amount of quantity. But because of that, it sells out, and then people have that FOMO kind of factor, and
Yeah.
then like running as soon as it's back in stock. So
Exactly,
it's
like signing up for the email list, everything like that. Like, I
exactly.
can't even imagine. But how do you balance like all of that? Not only do you have like a business, you have a family, like much like you have 2 kids, you also have your multiple social media platforms and you're trying to keep up with to make sure you're growing. And so how do you just have to how do you first of all keep track of all of that? And second of all, how do you just make sure that you also stay sane while also in quarantine?
That's yeah. This question, it always gets me. I feel like everybody asks me this question, and I
Yeah.
always have an answer. I'm winging it. Like I have no formula. It's like taking a ball and throwing it at the wall and just watching it go this way, this way, this way,
Yeah.
this way. It's all over the place. I feel like that's kind of what we are too. I mean, Alhamdulillah, I feel like we do have somewhat of a schedule.
Mhm.
But at the same time, we don't sleep very much. A lot of the work that we do is when our kids go to sleep. So there's really no downtime. I feel like we're working like 7 days a week all the time. But at the same time, I feel like we have that flexibility. Like if my kid falls down, I'm able to run to her and give her a snuggle and stay with
Right.
her. And, like our kids are involved so much in everything we do. If we're over here, manufacturing hijabs, they can be over here playing in their jungle gym. Like it's the flexibility that we have because we work from home is so nice. So I think it kind of balances out that way. But at the same time, we kind of stick to a schedule, but we don't. And we're open to always having that flexibility. Like if things don't go right this day, then that's okay. We still have tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's a good way to look at it, but are there any common or are there any, like, platforms that you use specifically? Like, I know for myself, I use Google Calendar. Are there anything specifically that you use that helps you stay on track and have a schedule?
Yeah, Google Calendar. So if I have like deadlines for certain things, my kids' classes, things like that, that's all in my Google Calendar. Yeah, I would
Mhm.
not be able to survive without that.
Mhm. Yeah, and you also I actually saw recently you also made the decision to homeschool your kids too. It's like, were you also stressed having that on top of all of the work that you're doing so far?
At first, yes, I was super nervous and super overwhelmed about the thought of homeschooling, but we've actually found a local sister who's a teacher who like actually breaks down every single lesson by day. So it's really alleviated all of the stress for us and all of the lesson planning and all of that kind of stuff. So usually in the mornings, we have breakfast, we come upstairs, my kids go to school with their dad, and then I come in. This is my office. I come in here, I do whatever work I need to get done, and then usually midday they're done. Like it's not a full 8 hours because their age is 3 and 5. Like they're
Yeah.
still in school and kindergarten. So it's not bad right now, but it's been, yeah, it's definitely been a blessing.
Mhm, yeah, and, moving to, like, just partnerships, like, you recently partnered with Zudo, to create your own necklace as a line or not a line, but as a product. What is it like working with a brand to create a product, like, for that company?
Yeah, Zudo is incredible. The owners, Ibrahim and Zumi, are absolutely amazing. When we first started talking about a collaboration, they're so open minded and so flexible. They were like, "Okay, what do you want to design?" Like
Like
that's straight up what they said. We're like, "What do you mean? Like a necklace, a bracelet, like a ring? Like what are we talking here?" And they're like, "Anything. Like what do you want to
yeah,
design?" And I feel like it was so broad, and we had never designed any pieces of jewelry before, that we were stuck, like like
mhm,
very much stuck because we're like, this is amazing, but like we're not jewelry designers.
yeah,
So then they gave us a few weeks to kind of decide, and we came up with all these crazy ideas. And then ultimately, we wanted to do something for moms and their kids, because we've got the two girls, and so we came up with our "You Complete Me" necklace,
Yeah.
and it truly was just a lot of brainstorming, like a ton of brainstorming, like what is something that's not out there right now that we could kind of do and design. And so we literally just sat down in a notebook and sketched it out. My husband sketched out kind of what my vision was, and then they brought it to life. It's a really miraculous kind of process.
Yeah, and like, was it very time consuming? Like, do you think people underestimate how much time it takes to create a product like that?
Yeah, it definitely takes time. From the point where the idea was kind of created to the point of launching, it takes months. Yeah,
Oh
for sure.
yeah, probably. And so sorry, I was just looking at the questions. And then the last question is, what advice would you give to someone that wants to pursue a career in social media and whatever that they want to do and make it a full-time job? What type of advice would you give them?
I would say my biggest piece of advice is to just be true to you and always stick with what makes you different and what makes you you. Like, you don't want to go on the platform and try to copy us. You don't want to go on a platform try to copy somebody else. You don't want to try to be this person, that person. Just be you, be authentic, bring something new to the table, bring some creativity, and always stick to that. Always remember that people are going to be coming and falling in love with who you are, not because you're trying to copy so and so. So always just be raw, be authentic, be relatable, and just remember that people are out there that are going to resonate with your content. So always be true to you and be consistent. I think that's the number one piece of advice, is don't go on the platforms and make a piece of content one day here and one day there and expect it to go viral. That's not
Yeah.
how it works. Like, you really need to be consistent with it.
And did you ever find it difficult to stay authentic?
Um, I mean, like, in the beginning, I was really worried, like, what are people going to think? Like, we would kind of hold back a little bit in terms of our story. And then when we started seeing the response from people and asking more questions about our story, we're like, you know what? Let's just open up. Let's just
Mhm.
share. And the response was huge, because the amount of DMs we get every day, like, oh my God, I'm in the same situation, or this or that, or it's just amazing.
Yeah,
So yeah,
it is. Yeah.
that was necessary.
Yeah, that's honestly a great piece of advice for anything. Like, I think we should be authentic with whatever we do because at the end of the day, that's important. That's just what's going to keep us happy. But Jazaka Khair, so much for joining me. Where can everyone find you? Whether that's on social media, you're a hijab company, anything like that.
So our hijab company is lalahijabs.com. Our TikTok and YouTube are both Saleh Family. And then you can find us Saleh Family Official on Instagram, as well as my Instagram account, which is just Sana Saleh Official.
Yeah, and all of her links will also be in the description box along with SunnahCamp's links. Again, Jazaka Khair so much, Sister Sana, for joining me, and inshallah, we'll see you all next Thursday. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.